Well, hey guys, good to see you here today. We are, just 5 days or so, 4 or 5 days from our Commitment Sunday coming this Sunday. And one of the things that we are going to be doing a lot more of in 2023 is partnering with local nonprofits and ministry organizations here in the Charlotte area to make a difference in people's lives. I see it as bringing the kingdom of heaven into some places, and the person who is kind of championing that for us and leading the way is our director of communications, our pastor of community engagement now, and Melanie. Have you here with us? Glad to have you. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit here, and you guys, if you got any questions you want to jump in and chime in with us, you can put those in the comments. We'll try to get to those as well. I want you to share with us. On Sunday I was talking about reaching outside the walls of our church, and I know that that is something that you are passionate about and have been, all that I've known you, going and doing things outside. So, talk to us a little bit about maybe a couple of the partnerships that excite you. I know they all do. Let's just go ahead and say they all excite you, but you can't talk about all 9, 10, 11, 12. We don't have time for that.
I mean, I
So
could, but
if you could share a couple of those and why those partnerships excite you, we'll just start with that.
sure, yeah. So just a couple of the ones that I've had the most experience with is probably Bright Blessings, and Beds for Kids, and obviously Compassion to Act. And what really drew me to Bright Blessings and Beds for Kids to start with is the fact that I was running a summer camp that had kindergarten all the way through sixth or seventh graders, and just trying to find places in town that we could take all the kids, our younger ones and our older ones, so that they could actually get their hands dirty and like do something hands on. Just because I feel like it makes a much bigger impact when you're actually out there, boots on the ground, getting your hands dirty, working in these places, rather than just raising money or donating money. And those are amazing things, and they need the money. But I think it just affects you on a different level and impacts you on a different level when you're actually part of the process of putting things together, or making a goodie bag, or making a hygiene kit for a transient student or whatever, and praying over those things and over those kids, and just being there and being present and doing something physically, to be a part of changing another person's life, is just very impactful. And especially for kids, it really, it really helps them understand that this is real, and it's not something that's just out there that adults talk about, but this is actually happening to their peers, and this is like reality for people, other people that are their age. So that's kind of how I got connected with Bright Blessings and Beds for Kids, because they both allowed us to bring our youngest kids, to their organization, and had things that they could do where they felt like they were a part of the process. And then I just kind of fell in love with what they do and what they stand for, and who they are. And so it's really important to me when we talk about, places to serve and get involved. It's really important to me that we have opportunities for people, for families, people that have kids, so that they can take their kids with them, so that they can be out there serving their community where they live together as a family. Because I think that's incredibly important, for kids to see and be a part of, and not just see, oh, mom and dad are going to do this, and I'm going to go stay with grandma while they go, volunteer. But I love that Bright Blessings is, it's going into the school system, and it's, they're helping out the kids in the schools who watch all of their friends have birthday parties where their parents bring things in, knowing that their parents can't do that, or that they don't have parents to do that for them. So just helping them feel normal and feel seen and feel loved. I did share on that video yesterday that we put out. They have opportunities for people to adopt shelter parties, where you actually go into the homeless shelters and put on a birthday party for any kid that's had a birthday that month. And until you've seen the look on a child's face, when they realize that somebody that doesn't even know them cared enough to spend their time coming in and spend their money, making goodie bags or providing crafts for them to do, and is just spending their time, just spending time with them. It's just an incredible experience, and it's a incredible thing to see and to realize that, you have the power to make that kind of impact with just a small amount of your time, just by showing up. Is just It's just really incredible. There's nothing like it. So that, and then, Beds for Kids, I love what they do. When they found out that there were enough kids to fill Bank of America Stadium that slept on the floor every night because they didn't have a bed in our city, they took action. And I love what they're doing. I love that they are, our kids are allowed to go and help, pull furniture and load up a whole truck, and pray over that truck and pray over those families. And I just think they're making an incredible impact on our city, and I love to be a part of that.
Yeah, and I know that you are a part of an organization that maybe you wouldn't say is family friendly, as far as you're not bringing the kids out
No.
to be at. But what I would like for you to share, because I know you've been involved with this organization, for a long time. I'm talking about Compassion to Act,
Yeah.
and what we are moving into 2023 is providing, not just sending people, but now funding to buy things. Could you explain a little bit about what it is when you go in, the things that we're buying,
Yeah.
what you're doing with those, and then
Yeah.
kind of the impact that it has on, if you don't know, Compassion to Act goes out and works in the adult dancing industry here in Charlotte, but to reach out to those ladies who find themselves in a place that they probably never thought that they would find themselves. So could you share a little bit? Maybe you can expand on my ignorance of the ministry, and then what it is that we're purchasing, and the impact that that's going to have.
Yeah. And I can go on and on about this one, so you just cut me off. But this one's
Yeah.
near and dear. So we talk a lot here about changing the city. We want to make a difference. We want to raise the reputation of Jesus where we live, work, and play, right here in our own city. And for me, I don't feel like we can do that well unless we know what the needs of the city are. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about Compassion to Act and what we do, because Charlotte is the #1 city in the state of North Carolina for human trafficking. And there's a lot of misconceptions about what human trafficking is and what it looks like. There's a lot of misconceptions about the adult entertainment industry. I know a lot of people think that these people, everybody in there, this is their choice. They can get out whenever they want. They made the decision to go and do this, and that's not always the case. In fact, the majority of the time, that's not the case. There are a lot of ladies that are in these clubs that this is a generational thing. Their grandmothers were dancers, their mothers were dancers, their aunts are dancers, now they're dancers. So it's kind of like, when scripture talks about breaking that generational sin, that hasn't been broken yet for them. It's all they've ever known. There are others who don't have a choice but to be there because someone owns them. There are others who are in between jobs, and they this one of them has actually said to me, I know that this is always here. So if something happens and, I need money, or I know this is always here. I know I can always come back to it. I know that it's always waiting for me. There are others who are single moms, and they're doing this so that they can stay at home with their kids during the day, and they homeschool them with Christian curriculum. But this is the only way that they can do that. So there are just so many stories that, everyone's an individual and everybody has their own story. And I know you see the thing, don't judge. You don't know what other people are going through, but you really have no idea what other people are going through. And people that are in this industry, a lot of times there's a stigma around this industry, and there's lots of misconceptions about what it is and how it works. So what we do is we go into the clubs and we go into the dressing rooms and we just talk to the ladies. I mean, it's just kind of like I was talking about with the shelter party, just seeing people show up consistently. Now, we don't always see the same girls more than once, but occasionally we do. And so just knowing that somebody showed up and is, you know, bringing something for them. We always ask them, you know, what do you need? What's helpful? You know, what things do you enjoy? We want the bags that we take in or the snacks that we bring them or whatever to be things that are useful to them, things that make them feel good about themselves, that kind of thing. So the idea that somebody would come in and give them something without expecting anything in return is a totally foreign concept to most of them. We've had girls just burst into tears because they're like, why are you doing this? Why would you do this? You don't know me. Why would you do this? You know, on the in the rare occasions that we do see the same girl more than once, just looking her in the eye and calling her by whatever name she gave us last time is incredibly impactful. The fact that we would, they feel like they're important enough to us for us to remember their name. That's huge. So what I had put in the 2023 budget, we have Compassionate Act has this thing called the Give 8 campaign. And all it takes is $8 a month for a woman to find restoration and healing from human trafficking. So that was kind of part of my budget is, you know, I would love to see Next Level be able to provide for 10 women in 2023 to find that restoration and get that rehabilitation and be able to get out of this industry for good and, you know, be a productive member of society again and get the tools and the training and the counseling and the therapy that they need to be able to be reintroduced into the workforce and to have as normal a life as possible. We have a client right now who we've been going through this process with for a very, very long time. A lot of times people don't understand. They can come out and they can come to us, but probably 7 or 8, 10 times they're going to go back before they actually stay out for good. So we have this lady that we've worked with for many, many years, and she is now free from this lifestyle. She has actually gone back to college and is working on getting a degree in criminal justice. And so, you know, none of that would be possible if we didn't, you know, have the resources and the funding that we need to be able to connect these ladies to counseling, to be able to get them into a safe house, and just to be able to provide what they need to be able to do that, because it's an incredibly difficult thing to break free from and to break free from for good, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes complete sense. I know, you know, just sitting back and observing all the connections you're making. So many of them. I mean, the the efforts of what we're doing also have to include this counseling, mentorship, some sort of time intensive, person on person touch in order to break the pattern. Not just in what you're doing, but when you're talking poverty, or when you're talking mental health thing, any of the big issues, marriage problems, kid problems, like it involves people, and I hope that our funds can provide the professional help. But my desire is for us as a church, for people to find, just like you found in Compassion to Act, a place where you go and you say, hey, that God has gifted me an ability to speak to this particular group of people, and I'm going to take this, you know, one-on-one or one-on-three or whatever, and mentor people. So much of what you're doing, you know, when I look at it, it's like, wow, that you can't just throw money at it. You got to have, it's people on people intensive.
Yeah.
So, hey, before we, you know, kind of wrap up our time, we're also looking at, you know, so we have 9 or so partnerships that we rolled out this year and spent time with on our Serve Sunday. But what are some of the newer, like when you look into 2023? I know you're checking out. We haven't solidified any of these partnerships, but there are some out there that you're like, oh, I'm talking to this group or that group. If you can kind of give us a little bit of a preview of other partnerships where our money and our time and our people can go and make a difference.
Yeah. So we didn't do really anything for Hope Match, you know, with Serve Sunday, but they're obviously one of our partners, you know, for years now. So we definitely want to get continue that partnership and be more involved with them. I've already met with Jeff from Charlotte Rescue Mission, and he and I have been talking about, what does a partnership look like with Charlotte Rescue Mission, and how can we get involved there. Crisis assistance ministry, I've had experience volunteering with them and taking groups over to volunteer with them. I would like for us to get connected to them as well. So I plan to reach out to them. And then Rice and Beans, which is in Charlotte, I have been emailing back and forth with them to try and figure out, what does it look like? What do you need right now? How can we come alongside you and have our people, support what you're doing in your ministry? I know that they take food and needed items directly into the city under a bridge where, lots and lots of homeless people. It's kind of like a tent city down there. They go right into it and provide food and provide, coats and blankets, whatever they need. They have conversations with the people. And that's kind of, like I said earlier, if we really want to change the city, we have to know what the city needs. We can't just assume or guess like this is a problem everywhere, so it's probably a problem here. It doesn't work that way. So I've been reaching out to the town managers of Stallings and of Indian Trail to find out, what do you need from the local church? What is it, what issues does the town have that the local church could come in and help with? So just trying to get meetings with them and sit down with them. The next step would be the schools, just going in and talking to the counselors and the assistant principals and, what are the issues that you're seeing in the school? What percentage of the schools on free and reduced lunch? What is the divorce rate? What are you seeing with, what are the kids struggling with? Are you guys having problems with, social media? Are you guys seeing problems with, because the local schools represent the local neighborhoods. And so, whatever the school is dealing with, chances are those are the issues that are permeating the neighborhoods right around our church. And if we truly want to be about raising the reputation of Jesus where we live, work, and play, we have to make the effort and take the time to get to know what the actual needs of our city are. We can't just, because the needs of Stallings are going to be different than the needs of Charlotte, and like I know we have, I think it's 10 tent cities in Monroe, like right down the street from us, which means
In
homelessness is
Monroe,
a problem
there's 10 cities in Monroe. Really?
in Monroe.
Oh,
So,
I didn't know that.
those are the things, if you're not aware of it, then you can't help with it. But I want to make sure that we're not just like, oh, I like this organization, I like what they do, let's partner with them. No, let's figure out what the needs of our city are. What are our local schools seeing? What are the town, managers seeing? How can we partner with them? What organizations are working towards fixing these problems? I don't know if you're familiar with For Charlotte, but they came out with that state of the city report 2 years in a row. And it was like, here's what Charlotte has: issues with upward mobility. Charlotte has problems with literacy. Literacy was a big problem in Charlotte. If literacy is a big problem in Stallings and in Indian Trail and in Monroe, how can we get people into the schools to tutor these kids? What kind of programs can we partner with Reed Charlotte and go into these schools and provide tutors and have people that help them, get these kids back on grade level? So just things like that, major things when people think about serving, it's like, oh, we got to help with, homeless, and we got to provide food and, blankets and stuff. And those are great. And we still need those. But if we really want to change the city, we have to know what our city needs. So that's
Yeah.
kind of where I am right now.
Yeah, and I love it. And so, anybody that's watching or new to our church or whatever, this role for you is new. So we are, as a church, are learning what's going on. Like, I didn't know that was happening in Monroe.
Yeah.
But one of the things I do love, and you are the spearhead for this, is figuring out like the temptation in churches I've been in the past, like, oh, these problems. So we church are gonna go out and try to fix that. Like I love that we're finding there are other organizations already doing it better than we could. So how do
Yeah.
we just give them funds and send people their way? I love that you're
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah.
Um,
Nothing's going to change without collaboration. And
yeah,
unfortunately, there's not, collaboration is not something that you see very often within the nonprofit world, unfortunately. And so, trying to change that because it needs to
Yeah,
be
they're all
changed
fighting for volunteers and dollars.
for funding and
Yeah,
volunteers. And yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So,
I get it. We live in a world where churches fight with each other over maybe
right.
some of the same things.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it. So,
Yeah.
Melanie, thanks for your time today, but more
Yeah.
importantly, thanks for the extraordinary amount of time that you put in looking into and phone calling and going and visiting. So when we do things like a Surf Sunday or what you have planned, a Surf Saturday coming up, those things don't just happen. So thank you for all of the time going in to help us as a church figure out how can we go and raise the reputation of Jesus in those areas. And I love that you're thinking, what does our city really need, rather than
Yeah.
us just trying to figure it out. So
Yeah, of course. And the other thing too, Clay, is to provide that opportunity for people to figure out what their calling is. Um, I don't want people to think we're just going to have this out there. I've got plans in place too to help the people of Next Level figure out what is my passion, what are the gifts and talents that God's given me, and how do I use those, to go out and affect change in my city. So that's coming too, hopefully.
yeah, that calling. I'm glad you brought it up. That calling seminar is fascinating.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that, especially after just going through it myself. It's incredible, and I'm excited for our people that are ready to take that next step to go through that because I think it'll be very beneficial.
Yeah, helping people find meaning in their life, like,
Yeah,
and it sounds really simple, but sometimes you don't understand what your skills are and how that can match up in an organization that really can move the ball forward, and make a difference.
yeah,
That's what I love about when you were showing me this calling stuff is, yeah, I always tell people sometimes it's like riding a bike. You don't realize how difficult riding a bike is because you've been riding a bike. Like, think back to when
yeah.
so we do things so naturally. What I mean by that, you just do it, do it, do it, do it. You don't realize other people look at that and go, man, I can't do that.
Right.
And that's what this calling thing does. Identifies what you're good at riding the bike, and then looking for other places where, man, they need someone just like that. That can do that. Yeah. So that's coming. That's
Yeah.
coming in
Fingers
2023.
crossed.
No, that's coming, and then that's going to provide a lot of opportunity for anyone who goes through that, but really
Yeah.
opportunity for our local ministry, nonprofits, ministry organizations to send people. So, thanks, Melanie.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Well, of course.
all that you're doing, and hey, guys, I don't want to forget to say as we're heading out of here that this Sunday is our commitment Sunday. We've got, if you're new to this, man, we've got a whole slate of things that we want to accomplish in 2023. Many of those things are outside the walls of our church. And so we've put that in front of our people and said, hey, here's what it's going to cost. And so this Sunday is when we're going to gather together and as a body of believers say, hey, here's what I'm committing to give in faith. And then we're just going to go tackle these things. So I can't wait to see you this Sunday. Hope you have a blessed work day and work week this week. And we'll see you sometime later. Bye, guys.